Friends, I've heard, I've seen organization under able leadership reaching the highest level of success. I've read in articles how a leader of a country can take the country to great heights. I've also read where leadership has failed miserably in certain countries, in certain organizations, because they fail to take constructive suggestions and did not act suitably when they know that things are not going on well in their organization, or that matter even in the countries. The recent crisis which you have seen in Sri Lanka is also a matter of concern and requires discussion. Well, I'm not going to go into that. Why is it happening? You would have heard certain statements when such a situation is prevailing from respectable people. Even God will find it difficult to save this country or organization. How far is this true? It is true. When you take the constructive criticism and suggestion given by your well-wishers, you will find that the organization which is going in the wrong path, the country which is going into the wrong path, we can put a stop to it and bring back to the normalcy, and with collective leadership, we can take this organization to the next levels. I heard a story recently highlighting this. There was a conference going on in an island. Many people were participating, some from Japan, some from China, India, Australia, United States, from many countries. During the lunch break, two elderly gentlemen and one youngster were having a discussion, and the talk was around nature, the personal lives, the organization they are representing, the country which they belong to. All these were the part of the discussion. All of a sudden, one among the three said, "Only God can save my country. Otherwise, things are going to become very difficult." At that time, it seems God was passing that side. God heard the sentence and asked these three, "Hey, why are you dragging me into the conversation? What's the matter?" And God also joined the conversation. One elderly gentleman of the three was a Japanese. Knowing God seated next to them, asked God, I need your opinion on this, and a clarification also if need be. I am a Japanese, I love my country so much. God, you know what happened after the Hiroshima bombings, how my country was devastated. God, please tell me, how many more years it will require for my country to reach the prosperity and glory which we enjoyed? It seems God had a tab, started working for about 10 to 15 minutes and said, "My friend, next 10 years, you have to wait for 10 years, and what you expect will happen to your country, the country will prosper. Japan will prosper." This elderly gentleman just fell on the ground, started screaming and shouting, crying, and said, "God, this is not acceptable, this is not acceptable." Hey, God asked, "What's your problem?" "God, I'm already 92 years old, and you say I have to wait for another 10 years to see my country reach the glory which I am desiring. Well, I will not be alive, God." God said, "Well, that's a fact, but then I can't do much about it. The truth is, you have to wait for 10 more years to see your country reach that glory." And the next gentleman was a Chinese. He, out of curiosity, asked God, God, what about my country, China? When will it reach the glory? I also desire that my country reach the glory the way I visualize. God took about 30 minutes, and after 30 minutes, informed the Chinese, my friend, you have to wait minimum 30 years. The Chinese was surprised and puzzled. He said, 30 years? And he also fell on the ground, started shouting and screaming and crying much more louder than the Japanese. God asked him, what's your problem? God, I have to confess, I'm already 75 years old and I will not be alive to see my country China prosper. Well, something should be done about it. God said, I can't do anything, but that's a fact. You have to wait 30 more years to see your country reach the glory. But of course, I can tell you, it will reach the glory. The third gentleman was a youngster. God, I want to come to my side. Please be away from these two gentlemen. I want to tell you one thing. I like to share some information to you privately. He whispered to God's ear which country he belonged to, and asked God, when will my country reach the prosperity and the glory which I am hoping of? God took about more than 1.5 hours calculating and calculating and calculating. He was not able to come to a conclusion, and at last, after 2 hours, God kept the tab on the desk, fell down on the ground, and God started crying and screaming, rolling this side and that side. Uncontrollably, God was crying and announced to the youngster, which was heard by the other two also, my friend, I will not be alive to see the success and the glory of your country, because so much of turmoil and indecision and ineffective leadership is happening in your country. Friends, that's the message for youths. Well, any organization, small organization, a mid-level organization, a large organization, leadership matters. If a leader is open to the thoughts and ideas shared by experienced people who are rooted to the welfare of the organization, and take their advice in a very proper manner, in a pretty productive manner, and implement it, well, the organization is going to definitely reach a new level of success which they are aiming at. Applies to country, also applies to organization. What matters here is how serious are you in implementing the constructive suggestions offered by your well-wishers. Thank you very much. God bless you.